Aaron Rodgers' former teammate, Davante Adams, potentially new teammate, DK Metcalf. These were both two big wide receiver moves. Davante Adams essentially replaces Cooper Kupp in Los Angeles. DK Metcalf is coming into Pittsburgh. We don't know yet if George Pickens is going to be there or not long term. What did you make of these moves?
So the Davante Adams one doesn't really surprise me because they decided to, because Matt Stafford is staying there. That was less surprising to me. DK was more surprising. I get it. He requested a trade, but I didn't think the Seahawks would actually do it. And I get
to only get a second round pick and nothing else out of it felt kind of weak from Seattle's perspective. I think towards the draft they probably could have got a bigger haul, maybe even a late first from it. From the Davante Adams perspective, I'll say this. Obviously, ever since he left Green Bay to go to Vegas and play with Derek Carr, and then he went back to the Jets and Aaron Rodgers, he hasn't been viewed as the same receiver. But you watch him at the end of last year when Rodgers started playing well towards the end of the year with the Jets. Davante actually made a lot of plays. And I don't think what a lot of people are talking about here is it's like, yes, they did let go of Cooper Kupp. But Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua are very similar players. They're slot-esque players. They're possession. Even though they're number one receivers, they play in the slot a lot. They're more possession receivers. They're not really that go deep down the field. Where Davante Adams is actually a compliment to Puka Nacua.
Sure.
He gives you a bigger body. He's a bigger, I really like that move for the Rams. I think it's an underrated move. I think he will fit in beautifully there with Stafford and Puka Nacua as long as he's healthy.
Even though they made this move, I don't think it takes them out of the wide receiver market in free agency or in the draft.
I agree with you on the draft. They may bring in somebody, a speedster who's not great, like a Nelson Aguilar type, a Jalen Reagor, etc. Maybe like a Kendrick Bourne, maybe somebody like that you could take a flyer on in free agency. But I agree. I don't think they necessarily are out of the receiver hunt in the draft. Pittsburgh-wise, to me, and I don't know what the relationship was like with Russell Wilson and DK Metcalf, but Russell Wilson's strength in Pittsburgh was throwing the moonball to George Pickens and whoever else, and that was his strength in Seattle with DK Metcalf. That's not necessarily Aaron Rodgers' strength. I think if you have Aaron, DK Metcalf on one team, that's bound for an implosion. So, I don't know.
Especially if you keep George Pickens, too.
DK Metcalf requested a trade because he wanted to go to a warmer city. And he got down to Pittsburgh.
Yeah. Which is not a warmer city.
Now, he got paid, by the way, and the weird thing about it is, as you and I both know, what's the one position in the draft the Pittsburgh Steelers ironically draft well? Wide receivers.
Yeah. And yet they suck at drafting quarterbacks outside Ben Roethlisberger.
Well, and they suck at drafting linemen, which is so weird for a team that's built on culture and toughness. They can't get the offensive line right. Like I was saying earlier, that's their problem. Sure, could they have used a better number two wide receiver? Yes, but I don't know. Paying DK Metcalf $30 million a year, and then if you keep George Pickens, this just again feels like another Band-Aid where we're going 9-8.
Yeah, like I said earlier, I'm surprised the Steelers are still okay with it. Chuck Noll won 4 Super Bowls with the Steelers as their head coach. Bill Cowher won 1. I get it. And Mike Tomlin, sure, never had a losing season, but he hasn't been to the Super Bowl since 2010. They haven't won a playoff game since 2016. They've lost 6 straight playoff games, I think it is.
Their last playoff win, I think everybody will remember the game. They beat the Chiefs by kicking field goals. That was the Alex Smith Kansas City Chiefs.
Yes. And I believe the only other playoff win they've had since that Super Bowl
Was
was,
Matt Moore when they beat the Dolphins.
yes, that's
They've
right.
lost to Blake Bortles.
Yeah, think about that. They lost to freaking Blake Bortles, who really should have beaten the Patriots in the AFC Championship.
He really should have. I mean, that Jacksonville team was up 20-10. Tom Brady, obviously, with the stitches, came back down 10, scored 14. We know the end of the story there. But yeah, Mike Tomlin always says the standard is the standard. I guess the standard around Pittsburgh is 9-8. Like, I really don't care. Congratulations. You're going to finish second or third, depending on what happens in Cincinnati, depending on if they can get their defense right. You're better than Cleveland. Whoop-de-doo.
Yeah, whoop-de-freaking do. You'll make the play. You might make the playoffs, get bounced out in the wild card, whatever. Honestly, you look at the NFC, I don't think there's room for the Giants because I think at least two teams are coming out of the NFC North. I would put the Lions in there, and I think it's going to be Chicago. I could see Chicago getting